Hello. It's time for another spooky story. This one is Peter Pan, A Trick for Hook. The weather in Neverland was the same as it always was, warm and breezy, perfect for Wendy Darling to practice her flying. She was hovering unsteadily several feet above the ground when she remembered what day it was. "Oh!" Wendy cried. She lost her concentration and fell to the ground with a oomph. "Why, it's All Hallows Eve," she said, standing up and dusting herself off. "What's that?" Peter asked. "It's a holiday with all kinds of spooky things," Wendy explained, "and some not so spooky things, too. Like bobbing for apples and turnips," John added. "Tell him about the turnips, Wendy." "Oh, yes," Wendy said. "You hollow out a turnip and give it a face and put a candle inside." Michael finished. That sounds boring," Peter declared rudely. Wendy thought it over. "Well, I don't think it's boring," she said. "You know, they say that All Hallows Eve is the night that all the ghosts come out." Peter's eyes widened. Now that was interesting to him. "I love ghosts," he cried. "Are they scary ghosts?" Wendy nodded gravely. "Oh, on All Hallows Eve," she said in a whisper, "the bats stay home. The owls hide in their trees. Even the spiders are afraid to show their faces. That's how scary the ghosts are." Peter shivered. "That's spooky," he said. He examined his arms. "Look, I've got goosebumps." The children all piled into Peter's hideout as Wendy continued describing All Hallows Eve. People play tricks on each other on All Hallows Eve," she said, "and tell spooky stories." "Like what?" asked Peter. "Well, there was a story Papa used to tell us about a haunted turnip," Wendy said. "It gave me nightmares." Peter looked thoughtful. In fact, he looked like he was hatching a brilliant scheme. "Tricks," he said, pacing back and forth. "Spooky stories? Nightmares?" Then he flew straight up to the ceiling, so fast he almost hit his head. "I've got it," Peter said. "We'll play an All Hallows Eve trick on Captain Hook." Peter dug around under the Lost Boys' hammocks. Finally, he found what he was looking for, an old white sheet and tattered pirate hat. "If there's one thing Captain Hook is afraid of," Peter said, "it's the crocodile who ate his hand. But if there's one thing all pirates fear, it's the ghost of the old sea dog." "Who's that?" Wendy asked nervously. "He's from Scary Story Pirates Tell Each Other," Peter said. "A legend. He was supposed to have been the wickedest and cruelest of them all." Peter tossed the sheet over his head and tossed the pirate hat over that. "We're going to make Captain Hook think that the ghost of the old sea dog is haunting Neverland this All Hallows Eve," he said. "Woo!" Peter added in a high, spooky tone. "Shiver me timbers." Wendy shuddered. She knew Peter was under there, but it was still a bit scary. Peter, Tinker Bell, Wendy, and the boys snuck down to the beach as quietly as they could. Evening had fallen, and they stuck to the shadows as they went. When they reached the water, Tinker Bell sprinkled Wendy and the boys with pixie dust. The group rose into the air, gliding gently over the waves. Soon they had reached the Jolly Roger. "Shh," Peter whispered as they flew quietly around to the wheel where Hook stood, looking out over the deck of the ship. The night air was still, and the sound of the ocean lapping at the sides of the ship was faint. Wendy, Peter, and the boys hovered silently in the shadow of the ship, breathing as quietly as they could manage. Aboard the Jolly Rancher, Hook shifted from one foot to the other. The shuffle of his boot heel on the deck was eerily loud. All Hallows Eve, Hook muttered to himself. I hate All Hallows Eve. What's that, Captain? Came a jaunty and unexpected response from the shadows. Hook jumped a mile in the air. Smee, he yelled, don't sneak up on me like that. Sorry, Captain, Smee said. I forgot how you hate All Hallows Eve. It's bad enough having the crocodiles sulking around, Hook whined. Now I have to watch out for ghosts on top of it. Hidden from sight, Peter winked at Wendy. Woo! Peter moaned softly, still hidden at the side of the ship. What's that? Captain Hook called sharply. Woo! Peter added, a little louder. Who's there? Cried Smee. It is I, Peter said. He rose quickly to the deck, his feet fluttering in the ocean wind. The old sea dog. He flew straight at Hook, moaning and screeching. Bumpkins! Hook screamed and flung himself to the deck. I don't know if I said that right. Laughing, the children fled as fast as they could. The look on Hook's face had been priceless. Where's Peter? Wendy asked when she and her brothers landed on the beach. The boys looked around, but Peter was nowhere to be found. Let's get home, Wendy suggested. Maybe he'll meet us there. But as they approached Peter's hideout, the hair on the back of Wendy's neck began to stand up. They could see an eerie glow through the trees. A glow like... Boo! Wendy gasped as a ghastly face appeared in front of them, a grinning head with no body. It bobbed and staggered through the air. It was a floating turnip. I tricked you, crowed someone with a similar voice. Peter stepped out of the shadows, laughing so hard he was clutching his sides. Next to him hung the turnip attached to a string. Wendy sighed. Peter, you really frightened me, she scolded him. But it was a good trick, she added. That was the idea, he said. After all, it's All Hallows Eve. Why settle for one scare when you can get two? And that's the end. Thanks for watching, and have a happy Halloween.